Good afternoon, everyone. I think we'll just wait a few minutes while we have people join the call. So I guess I should say good afternoon, good evening, good morning from wherever you're calling in from, joining us from in the world. I hope um, you have a fun time, a fun 1 hour with us. So we'll just wait 1 minute, 2 minutes before we kick off. We have a speaker with us, and we're excited about this conversation. And so we would not want to waste time um, to kick off. Okay. I'll greet you guys again. Thank you for joining us. I know that there are a few people. I've just been informed that a few people on YouTube directly that have joined us for this conversation. So that we don't waste time, I'll just kick off. So my name is Fini Ogunlesi. I'm managing partner for RegalStone Capital, and RegalStone is birthed out of um, the need to sort of solve for the culture and creative industries today on the continent. So we're an investment firm that's building, partnering, supporting businesses, high growth businesses in the culture and creative space in Africa. And the goal is again to support with smart capital and advisory support. So every interactions we have, every conversation we have, every every program we put together, every masterclass like this that we design um, is catered towards ensuring that we have a more robust ecosystem, basically. And so this masterclass is again the first of our quarterly series that will be happening as we go into 2026. But the goal is for us to be able to support creative businesses, emerging makers as they grow, beginning to give them those tips, those tricks, those street wisdom that Dr. and I just spoke about a couple of minutes ago before we went live, right? That helps you to scale faster, grow faster, and just build a bigger ecosystem for the creative space. Um, and so again, if we're just thinking about how do we make this happen, it always makes sense to go through the typical case study, right? Um, how did the US do it? How is Europe doing it? How are other markets able to sort of support their ecosystem? And so you'll find that the US for the creative economy, I think it was in the 1950s, it really kicked off. And so North America now is known. I think just after the post World War, um, everything had gone to everywhere had gone to places basically after a war, right? And so it made sense to sort of recalibrate as a nation. And so again, for North Africa, North America rather, um, they've shown us how creative industries are able to catapult, are able to be catalytic, and be soft power that they are, and become economic engines. So today you will find that creative IPs are now GDP contributors in the US, um, in Asia, in Europe as well. And so creative economy, whether it's film, whether it's TV, music, arts, as we're speaking to crafts, publishing, gaming, today in the US already contributes over $1 trillion. And that's about 5% of their GDP. And so supporting also with 5 million jobs, which is significant. I know that the Nigerian data that came out a couple of months ago is saying that we plan by 2030 to be able to contribute 2.5 million jobs to be generated out of the creative economy. And so again, this started for the US back in the 1950s. Mass media explosion, soft power. The US we know today that we think is strong. It's because of that narrative they've built, right? Leading to job creations for them, the creative exports, how we sort of see them as a strong nation and how resilient they are, right? So I think for us at RegalStone, is a situation of, or is a story of, the gap is not creativity in Africa. The gap is capital. The gap is production systems. The gap is export infrastructure. And today, what that means is, because we need to educate and school ourselves and upskill ourselves, these are the sort of mediums we would use. And we have no other person that Dotun Popola, an expert, has worked hard to go through by himself with capital raising, capital for his work, right? Building systems to ensure that the work is scalable, right, and all over the world, and also exporting, right? So he has touched on these three things, and so I would go on to read his profile. Um, I hope we're able to share that on the screen. But I'll go on to read his profile briefly so that we can quickly kick off. So, Dr. Kukola, Dr. Are you with us? Hope you can hear
I'm
me.
with you. I'm with you. Yeah,
Yes,
sure.
awesome, awesome, awesome. And so we're
Yeah.
ready to go live quickly, so that
Thank
you
you.
can share with us your thoughts. So I'll just read your profile, and then we can start to enjoy some of the knowledge you've put together for us. Dr. Kukwala is a visionary Nigerian metal sculptor and creative entrepreneur, renowned for transforming scrap materials into high value polychromatic masterpieces, really masterpieces actually. As the founder and CEO of the Scrap Art Museum, he leads one of Africa's foremost eco conscious art initiatives, championing sustainability through creativity and innovation. With over 2 decades of professional experience, Dotu has turned his passion for art into a thriving, really thriving enterprise, executing monumental sculptures and murals across Nigeria, the US, India, Turkey, Qatar, and Dubai. His work is really global. His works have been showcased globally, including at the Expo 2020 Dubai, COP29 at Azerbaijan, and the African Development Bank exhibition. The passionate advocate for creative entrepreneurship, Dotun mentors emerging artists on monetizing their craft, building sustainable arts businesses, and bridging the gap between artistic expression and economic value. And economic value is key to what we're speaking about today. His journey continues to inspire a new generation of African creatives to see arts as both purpose and enterprise. So again, we want to be able to move it from is a hobby, is something I like, I'm passionate about, to finding purpose with it and finding enterprise and an economic value for investors. So, Dotun, the stage is yours. We welcome you. Please clap wherever you are, even though we can't see, we can't hear you, but yes, thank you so much for joining us. Your
Wow.
slides will
Thank
come
you
up.
so much. Thank you so much for the introduction. I really appreciate that. Um, I think we just need to go straight into the lecture. Well, it's a privilege to be here today. Can you hear me? Yeah, I believe you all can hear me clearly. So today I just want to share what I would call my street experience in the last 20 years, and that is coined into this conversation as from art to entrepreneurship, entrepreneur, the art of monetizing. See, before I start, I would just say uh, I grew up in Lagos. Maybe a little bit of background about myself. I grew up in Lagos. I grew up in a place where you probably can't think that, I mean, you would think nothing good can come out of here. I grew up in Agege. This is a hub where we have area boys, and everything around there, doesn't look like hope. But one good thing that I've learned, I mean, I learned during that period is the fact that my mom will always tell me that Omo Oshe Oje, that is, if you don't work, you cannot eat, you can't survive. So she had planted that in her heart, in her mind, that you must think 1 plus 1 every day, no matter your profession, whether you're an artist, you are a singer, you are a dancer, you are an interior designer, you're an architect. 1 plus 1 should be in your head every day. And that is how you can move from one point to the other. So she had always, told us that. But, because I was the black sheep of the family, I was the only person that probably loved to be an artist. The rest of my family are not, they don't really even feel art. They don't like art. So I mean, I was always seen as a black sheep. And with that, I was always thinking creatively and thinking economically. So those two thoughts formed my relevance in the industry today. And if I could tell you one thing about some school of thought about art in Nigeria, I'll tell you. Let me move you to the first slide. The first slide, you see what I wrote there. What I wrote is that artists are often perceived as broke, dirty, and unorganized. You know, like some people will tell you, these people that used to wear rag, they used to just dress anyhow. They are not. They're never. They don't care about money. They don't want to have wealth. They just want to be creative. They are just working with passion. They are passionate. But I had to change that narrative first. That because that shouldn't be my own legacy. Yes, I work with passion, but this is my profession. So if my passion can transform, my status to another status, why not I turn it to a profession? So art is my passion. It's what I love to do. But if I do the art, it gives you joy, it gives you fulfillment, and at the same time, it add more value to me, it add more money to me, then I become very relevant, I become happy, I become fulfilled. I can be very important in the society, navigate the orders of life, and meet demands, because life will always come with demand, and your ability to meet those demands is what makes you a man. So you can't say, I'm an artist, I don't care what any other person talks, I don't care what the doctor think about. No, you can't just think about that. You can't build life in that direction. So for me, I try to first break this stereotype and break this belief that artists are broke. So for I want to be one of the first billionaire artists that ever lived, So, and that is the mindset I've always carried. Now, if some people are saying, okay, it's only footballers that can buy a private jet, I want to change that narrative. And those are the key things that that kept ringing in my head, that moved me from doing what I was doing to what I'm currently doing now. Let's move to the next slide. Now, I always said this thing about art, that great art shouldn't just be about talent. Now, a lot of things that one of the things that we learn in school is that yeah, you have to build your talent. You are so talented. You are so your talent will boost. Your talent will sell. I mean, you see that a lot of people, a lot of artists, when they produce a beautiful work, you see them giving the work for free to maybe celebrities, or they just give their talent free. And I have that. I always frown at that because whatever you give free doesn't have value. It doesn't have value. So for me, I always say that your talent, you should nurture it. And great art, when you nurture that talent, eh, you should nurture it to a level where that talent can sustain you. You understand? Can sustain your life. Now, how can your talent sustain your life? By putting up a structure with your talent. Be strategic about it. And when you are strategic about it, then you can't be empty. You can't be broke. You can't be, you have financial freedom. So when you have a talent, even in the Bible, you see that if you don't trade with your talent, it will be given to someone that has 10 talents. So art is not just about talent. We need to understand how to channel the energy, the creative potential into different strategy that will bring resources to our table. So I change my orientation by not saying, okay, yes, I just want to come and paint your house for you for free. I don't do that. uh there were times in my life when I started early. I would probably just sketch everybody and give them their drawing. One day somebody just took one of my drawing and just kept it behind their cupboard. From that moment, I told myself that, okay, yes, you are trying to hide my talent, but if you had paid for it, you probably will hang it well, give it a very good frame and cherish it. So for your talent to be well, structured, you just need to you need to harness it properly. I don't know. You need to harness it properly, and that is just why a lot of artists, can't even they can't even survive in a society like Nigeria. Not to even survive. Not to talk about surviving in the West, because if you don't put a structure to what you do, then you just wake up in the morning, put some oil on canvas, put something on canvas, and you now have a pile of it at home without one single sales. Let's move to the next slide. Now, I always ask a lot of young artists that, how do you get resources? How do you get resources to survive? How do you how do you survive your life? How do you make ends meet? How do you make how do you become relevant in what you do? How do you monetize what you do? So for me, I have learned to think in naira and kobo. I have learned to think in naira and kobo. And I've always learned to think that what I do is a product and is a service. So when I'm creating anything for you, you must see that raw value inside it. And once you don't see that raw value inside it, we can't deal. The second thing is that I have to see my work as a major asset. Now, I did a piece for Mattel recently, and Mattel, you have to read their brand manual, must know that what they are giving to them is an asset that they can use to get money in the bank. They can use it for advert. So how do you just see it? How do I see what I create as a huge product that will not just be art for art's sake? So from that moment, I started seeing what I do as, in fact, it's a collateral that can be used, as a means of exchange. So that seeing your work of art in that direction, give it that value that, can be compared to like buying a Rolls Royce. So I started seeing my work as a product. A lot of people see their work as just a mere decoration. It's not just a mere decoration. You have to be able to see it clearly before your client or before the community or society can see it. So if you don't see it, they can't see it. And if you don't see the value in it, you can't monetize it. So over time, it got to a time in my life that I had to calculate how many hours I spend creating my work. Now I checked that in a day I spent 7 hours to weld. And in a country like US, you see an average welder earn uh not less than $20 per hour. And if you're a certified welder, you probably earn like $35 per hour. Now I live in a country like Nigeria that, I mean, an average welder in Nigeria earn less than $2 per day. Less than $2. I mean, let's say $2 per day. Now, how do I function in a country where a welder earns $2 per day, and I have a mindset of a welder working in the West? So I have to think about that in creating my work. Now, I I have I have a structure that I put in place that will make that possible for me, that position me as a professional, that position me as an asset creator, someone that creates assets, and someone that creates a good product that sells. So I don't know if you get what I'm saying. Now, let's move to the next slide. Now, after creating what I do, the next slide. After creating what I do, I told myself that, yeah, you can have a beautiful brand, you can have a beautiful work of art, but monetizing it has a lot to do with uh your personality. Now, a lot of artists create works, in fact, like create like 200, 300 paintings, and maybe 1,000 paintings, and as much as 2,000 paintings, and they keep it at home. And a lot of them, just those works just end in their portfolio, just end in their room. So for me, I told myself that when I create anything, when I create anything, I must be able to put it out there so that someone else that needs it can purchase it. That's how to monetize. A lot of people don't even know how to even put their works out there for the right people to consume it. So when you create a good brand, when you create a good, authentic signature for what you do, hmm, you will change your life. You will change your finances. Now, there are a lot of people that have good work, good word of art, but they don't have good packaging. So for me, I create good packaging with my work. I put it in the right place. I put it in the right website. I promote it very well. I use every media to sell my work. Most of the time, most of the resources that I've made, or most of the sales that I've made, were made on social media. Now, these are direct markets that you can really leverage on, that will give you that huge asset that you need in your life. So I built my gallery, I built website, I have a LinkedIn account, I have all different kind of social media account that has helped me to deliver, you know, my product to the people that needs it. You understand? So oftentimes a lot of creatives don't even know how to leverage on the social media, or leverage on the market in their hands, to get what they need. So there is someone out there that want to buy what you are producing, but you kept it in your house. Yeah, I don't want somebody to steal my idea. I don't want someone to copy my concept. And you don't show it out there. Some artists don't even go to exhibition. Some creatives don't even show what their works. Some even they don't even connect to other creatives. They just feel, okay, yeah, I can one day somebody will locate me. No, no, nobody will locate you if you don't show what you have. The era where you have to go and be showing in galleries or museum, yeah, those era technically are gone. You can create a gallery in your hand and make millions right on your iPad by showcasing what you produce, and the world will consume it. Next slide. Now, one of the things that I've pushed my work in in the right market is the fact that I have a strategy that I use for my narrative. I have a strategy that I use to tell my own story. Now I wrote something here. Your story and your experiences is unique to you. It is your core value and your selling point. Now, the world is looking for beautiful stories, good stories. The world is looking for unique stories. The world is looking for that thing that you are doing that is so special, that is not common, that they can't just find on the shelf. Those are the things you sell, and those are the things that people want to buy. Oftentimes, I have seen, collectors talk to me on social media. Hi, Dotun, do you have a work of art that talks about, uh, your own journey? I was like, why are you interested in my journey? Oh, I like the way you move to Qatar, move to this, move to that. Okay, yeah, I have works that's related to that. I have work that is related to my lifestyle in the cowboy territory. I have work of art that is related to my Yoruba culture. I have work of art that is related to, you know, my immediate environment as a Nigerian, that talks about the social, cultural, landscape of Nigeria. So you must have a story to tell with your work. I remember some few years back, I went to the US to exhibit, and I was creating a work of art based on uh, Nigerian story. And the community I went to exhibit this work couldn't connect with it properly. Then I went back the next year. I now did what I call cultural anthropology, by connecting their own culture, telling their own cultural story with my own cultural story. So I hybridize it, and I tell that story in a very unique manner with my work, and I had it sold out. So one must have a very unique way of telling your own story. You must have a unique way of putting your artist statement out there. While you are putting that statement out there, you must let it focus on some key area of your own reality. Nobody is interested in you telling the story of somebody that another person's story. You need to tell your own story, and that is how you can create value for yourself. A lot of people that will buy your work, they want to listen to your statement, they want to listen to what motivated you to create what you're doing. Without that, I mean, I don't even know if they're going to be able to consume what you have. Now, I said another thing here. Create experiments or experiences for your brand. Now, if you look at my kind of sculpture that I make, I try my best to create some performance around it, especially when I'm delivering them. When I'm delivering my work, you would love to see the delivery. The way I would deliver to a king is different from the way I would deliver to a noble. It's different from the way I would deliver to a prince. So I have all strategy of giving my client an experience with my work. When you see it, you'll be happy. You'll be, it gives you that joy. And with that, I'm getting my fund into my pocket. So most of my clients will tell you that, oh, Dotun, you are making me happy. Yeah, yeah, I'm making you happy. But at least my pocket is also smiling. So because I own the narrative, I own the narrative. I tell them the story. And when I tell them the story, I make it resonate with them properly. Next slide. I always talk about this every time, that you have to build, as an artist, as a creative, you must build a social capital for yourself to earn that respect that you deserve, to earn that next $1 million. You must build a social capital, because most Oh my God.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Please, there's a little bit of network issues, but we'll be back shortly. So please just wait. Thank you.
I'm trying to figure out if I'm back. Okay, I think I'm back. Sorry for that break in transmission. So I always talk about building social capital. Artists mostly lack. They lock themselves in the studio while real money moves in the hands of collectors, dealers and curators. And I always talk about this to young people, and I try to encourage them to build a good relationship with collectors, curators, and architects, designers and investors. A lot of us have this stereotype kind of lifestyle that made us to miss the real juice in art business. The real juice in art business is not even the real cash. It's not the raw cash. It's the social capital that you build. I connect with a lot of clients that it's not, sometimes I don't even need to sell work to them. It could just be getting them to one exhibition, or getting them connecting them to the next artist who is doing something similar to what they want. And with that, when you need that real capital, you don't need to ask them, they will just come to your aid. So I always tell artists, build your social capital. It is this social capital that can really bring the real money into your pocket. The real money is just cash, but the real capital is the community that you build, the people you have in your connect, in your network, in your network. I mean, these are people that will determine what you take home. These are people that will determine the value that your art controls in the market. So I always say that this is the major emphasis in trying to build, stable, successful business, financial success, in the art. You need the collectors, you need the curators, you need everybody. You need everybody. And if you don't have good relationship with them, you are just too, you know, just full of yourself. You're always with your work. You can't build that real wealth that we're talking about. Next slide. Now, I talk about the mindset of a billionaire artist. A lot of artists believe in selling one today and maybe selling one tomorrow. Number one, do not put a peg on your value. Now, the word value, uh, I think I have to just put it in a very simple manner. There's a difference between value and your price. Yeah, you can. Some people will say name your price, but you can't actually name your value. Your value is more abstract. And when you have a great value and you have a mindset of a billionaire artist, then you can't put a peg on it. You can't put a peg on it. You must understand what your market is saying, and you don't go to your market and be talking about price. You go to your market and talk about value. You go to your market and talk about the worth that your work is, and not just put, yeah, this one is 10,000 naira, this one is 20,000 naira. No, you go there and talk about real value. One other point I always talk about constantly is that you have to create a brand that is difficult for anybody to copy. Now, when you do that, sincerely, you can go to bed. If you create a brand, if you look at Coca-Cola today, yeah, a lot of people have tried to, try to copy Coca-Cola, try to get it, but they don't get it. As long as they don't get it, they can't beat that market. You will see that Coca-Cola will advertise daily, every day. You will see them every day. They advertise, they show on social media, they show on our screen, they show on our street, every corner. If an artist can have that kind of mindset, then you have a brand that nobody can copy. I mean, there are times I see a lot of people that want to create their work, to just look like mine, just to get the kind of response that I'm getting. Yeah, some of them, they are getting it. I mean, because one of the things I also try to do is to create, role models and, build a legacy. But the point is that if it is not Dotun, it is not Dotun. And that is what building a value and building a huge brand is. It is that to get to a point that people want to buy the name and not even just the art. They just want to buy the name. And that is what value is all about. That is what building a billionaire mindset is all about. So for me, I have been able to, build my art to that level where even without putting my signature on my work, once you see it out there, you know that that is Dotun Bukwola. So that is a brand that has identity. That's a brand that has nomenclature. That's a brand that cannot easily be plagiarized. I saw there was a time someone tried to copy my work, and a client went to a gallery and he went to buy the work. Then I met the client, by proxy somewhere in a party. And the client said, Jotun, I just bought your work in one gallery. I said, no, I don't have any of my work in any gallery in Nigeria. I have it maybe some other galleries in the UK and the US. He said, no, I bought it in Lagos, one of the galleries. I said, show me the work. When he showed me the work, I said, no, this is not my work. It doesn't even look like it. It just so my lawyer made money. I made money, because if you plagiarize, I mean, most time we have to understand the legal consequence of what we do. So I mean that brings us to a point that to monetize your product, you must understand legal framework that goes into your business. You can't just be doing art because everybody is doing art. You don't have your lawyer beside you to sign your contract, to to even read your contract. A lot of artists do that. They just go into business, go into contract. They don't even, they don't read within the lines in contracts. So I have a set of legal practitioners that read most of my contracts, that check every details. They said devil is always in the details. So I have some set of people that do that for me. And I don't joke with that. I don't joke with that. So you must understand that aspect of your business. Now I said something again. I said you must have multiple markets. Now a lot of people have businesses and just do one thing and just patronize one market. I don't just patronize one market. No. Because if you look at Dangote, you will see that Dangote has Dangote sugar, Dangote salt, Dangote refinery, Dangote cement, Dangote this. This man is a generational wealth. He can't go bankrupt. If the sugar factory fold up today, the cement factory will not fold up. The sugar, other factories will not fold up. So now the word have multiple markets means have multiple strings of income. Because when you have multiple markets as an artist, if you produce your work, let me simplify it. You produce a sculpture, and you you technically print your sculpture on a shirt, that sells. If you print your sculpture on a mug, that sells. If you print your sculpture on a pen, that sells. So you must have that multiple string of income. So when your real sculpture is not selling, at least you are making money from your shirts, from from your mugs, from this, from that. With that, you will be safe, and you'll not be thinking that, oh yeah, I need to, I must look for somebody that will buy this work by all means. What if nobody could buy the sculpture, but they can buy those other merchandise? So a lot of artists don't know that aspect of our art. They sell the original. They don't even sell a print. They don't sell a print. In the UK, in the US, you see artists sell their prints and keep the original at home. But in the African market, people sell the original and they forget about it. They make the money once, they blow it once. So I have learned all this on the street and I'm putting it to you straight away. Let's move to the next slide. So now, if you look at what I wrote here, I said focus on sustainability and legacy. Now, I wrote something here. I said, while you are making money, invest on structures that produce the asset while you are sleeping. I talked about it earlier. You invest on structures that that reproduce your assets while you are sleeping. I started building a museum in about 2 years ago. I started building a museum not because we want to make money, but because we want to leave legacy. We want to help community. We want to build, want to raise role models. We want to build people that can, sustain themselves with the trainings that were given to them over there. Now, the foundation will protect my asset when I'm gone. The Scrap Art Foundation will protect my asset when I'm gone. So, a lot of people don't build their name to last. I mean, hardly build their product or their name or their asset to last 100 years. So for me, I want to build a legacy. I want to build something that will sustain itself while I'm busy doing other thing or I leave this place. So we must learn that for us to remain relevant financially, these are key factors that we have to put in place. Now, part of the thing I have done, that has really helped me, just like what we're doing today, we're having a masterclass. What we are technically doing is to put the right money into your hand. Indirectly, we are putting the right money into your hand, because if you don't understand how to roll in this creative business, you will do the art for art's sake, you will do it because you are passionate. Then one day you leave the earth, you're dead, your art is not commanding any respect after you're gone. The secondary art market doesn't even recognize what you're doing. The auction house, I mean, like, they are the secondary art market, they don't even know you. Now, when the artist is gone, his art just turned to art for art's sake. But look at the likes of people like Benewanwu. Benewanwu is gone, but his work is even selling more than many artists that are still alive. So one of the key things that has made his work to be more relevant today is the effort he put while he was alive. He had Benewanwu Foundation. He had Benewanwu different kind of structure was put in place while he was still alive. So when he died, the technically the asset remained relevant to today. Now, I always say this to artists. I said, for you to move from where you are to the next level, your work must go at least to auction houses. Your work must go to auction. It is a must. It is a must. Not that you just carry it there. You must grow that asset to have that respect that will make the auction house to make request for it. Next slide. Now, I put some pictures of myself, and some of the key people, the key show that I've done in different countries. I mean, I've done over 20 countries, done shows in different countries. Next slide. I've done shows almost everywhere. This is the structure of the museum that I'm trying to set up, Scrap Art Museum in Ilefe. But most importantly, I try my best to create art that speak about the current happenings, things that are affecting us. And that's one of the that's one of the key way we can be relevant. If you are doing art that is not affecting the people, either socially, culturally, emotionally, then it's not going to resonate. So at the Scrap Art Museum, we try to we save the environment, we incubate people, we train people, we you know we build the best out of them. And that is how, I mean, indirectly, some monetization is coming in. Some tourists come. You in a month, we sometimes we could record like 500 tourists, sometimes 200 tourists, and they have a certain amount of money they pay there. So while the artist is busy in his studio, someone is going to the museum to look at his work, and they are paying to see the work. When they are leaving, they will buy a souvenir. If they don't buy a mug, they buy a t-shirt. If they don't buy a t-shirt, they buy a key holder. So with that, the multiple strings of income is properly defined. Next slide. I think the next slide will be my last slide. Now, I wrote this because I sat down to think about it. That to be relevant, to make the best use of your resources, you have to become one of one. For you to be, I mean, the market, most of our markets are highly competitive. But if you are one of one, you don't have competitor. You dominate the market. You become the focal point. You become the focal point. You become the person that everybody want to see. You become the man that everybody want to buy his work. You become the household name that people want to consume. Like some people will tell me now, Dotun, I just want to buy you. So you're buying me. Yes, you can buy Dotun. You can buy Dotun as anything. Now, but the point is that you must move to be among the top 10 ac- across the globe. If you're not among the top 10, it will be difficult to be one of one. So I put this in my mind every time when I'm creating and when I'm calling my values. Because I know the position I am, so I can call any value for you and you will not negotiate it. You don't price it. But before you get to that level, you must invest on every other point that I said about your social media, you know, your core values, your mission statement, your vision. Be there every day. What do you sell to people? How do you sell it? Those are very important. But most importantly, you must take good care of your health. You cannot chase money and crash down. You must take good care of yourself. You must pay attention to your health so that when you have the money like Dangote or you have it like $10, yes, you have good health to spend it. But when you now spend it, you must also learn to invest and spend wisely. And that's how to become relevant in your industry. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Short, straight to the point, insightful. I'll just do a quick recap. You delivered on what we wanted you to deliver on. I like the last slide saying the one of one. And all of the tips and tricks you put in there that you've sort of adopted over time. So I have a
Mm.
few questions, but I'll quickly do a recap. Again, it was
Okay.
some people joined us after we kicked off the call, but just key
Yeah.
lessons that I've sort of pulled together in our conversation. I think the first thing was around own your narrative. Um,
Hmm.
Aligning it with the mindset is key. Again, for you to own your narrative, you have to be
Yeah.
in the right mindset to see value in yourself, right?
You're
And
right.
We also sort of spoke about asset ownership, which is something key that we want investors typically want to see. They want to be able to
Mm.
see that there's recurring income, there's diversified revenue streams for an artist,
Mm-hmm.
for a creative business. And so again, when you mentioned selling prints, that happens, something that happens in the UK and doesn't typically happen here, where we just sell our originals and that's the end, right?
Mm. You're right.
That's a key point for artists to take note of, right? The ability to be able to still keep the ownership, have your assets, and then you're able to monetize it over time.
You're right.
And then IP is something that is key. You spoke in a way on IP protection, right? You said be one of one, but you also
You're right.
mentioned that you when they see your work coming, so that customer experience, right? They know it's you. You sort of
You're right.
mesmerize them, you tease them, you make them
You're right.
experience the entire work, right? So it's one of one. It's
You're right.
creating a brand that is difficult for one to
To,
imitate, right?
to
You have
copy.
to
Yeah, right.
copy. It should just be
You're
obvious
right.
that you just did what Dotto does, right?
You're right.
So that IP protection, the legalities around it, um, and just the customer experience are key things that I think that I'm sure people will have enjoyed in this conversation. So, and the last thing was the networking. I know you put it
Mm-hmm.
as the social capital, building
You're
relationship
right.
with the gallery owners, the curators, the patrons,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the arts and craft space, right? And
You're
this
right.
applies to those in fashion, applies to those um, across the ecosystem, basically, because again, once you build that social capital, it helps you with that export infrastructure we're talking about, ability to
Mm-hmm.
export your work, take it out there, market access, which invariably brings money, expands your revenue streams, and just again overall robustness in terms of economic value for
You're
anyone
right.
that's in the space as a business owner. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. I have three
Thank you.
questions. I have three questions so far. um,
Okay.
I'll take them. I'm not sure if anyone will still drop any questions. But I'll just quickly take them. So the first one is around this legalities, the one I spoke about now, right? Is
Mm-hmm.
there any example that you can give for again for just commissioning one of your work, right? What kind of the legality process you walked through? Just an example, real life example of what you had to put in place to ensure that maybe you took your work from Lagos to Dubai. What was that process like? In a short,
Okay. So yeah, I'll just put it straight. There are times when I'm talking, I may not use the real business terms, but I'm a welder, so you have to pardon me about that. Now,
for sure.
um, whenever I'm shipping my work, my lawyer does a major work. We have to sign a lot of documents, making sure that uh, there are some details that leave it for your legal team to do. Now, a lot of artists don't like to engage lawyer because you don't want to pay them, their shares out of their service. For me, I have a lawyer that is fully engaged doing my contract and reviewing my document. So I have him for a whole year. Like when you what do you call it? There's a term for that. When you when you
Retainer.
sign a lawyer, yeah. So I have him for a whole year. He review my documents. He review my contract. He review everywhere that I go. Now there was a time I had a problem. My work was shipping and it was impounded in uh in Turkey. Now I had to call my lawyer. Oh yeah, start putting out documents. The shipping company must collect. The the agent that did the shipment must collect. Everybody that messed up the shipment must collect, and they must pay for damages. So it's high time, you must let your lawyer smile, because if you don't, people are ready to do business with you and make you cry. So when you have a lawyer, they read, they tell you when somebody is plagiarizing your work or somebody is being inspired by your work, because in the there are a lot of issues that has to do with IP, intellectual property, and all sort, and
Yeah.
plagiarism in Nigeria that we've not really been properly schooled about it. So when I started moving, as my work started, moving towards traveling to different places, I saw that, man, this is not kidding. So you must have your legal team beside you. I mean, max you pay like 4, 5, 6 million to for the retainership in a year, and they will do their job and protect your interest. But if you are not ready to do the retainership thing, you just get a lawyer today. Just even some lawyers don't even understand art. They don't know how to. They don't know even how to interpret what is a real art, what is a real asset in art, and what is just a mere craft. So everything is just information. The right information you get, the more you can, the better you can fly. So I've had several experiences about legality that if I begin to share it here, we're going to spend another 1 hour talking about that. But
Okay.
the truth is that you need a lawyer to review your documents. Then you'll be
Mm,
happy.
mm. I like what you said again. You can't be penny pound foolish around legalities, especially if you're
Yes,
creating one-of-one work, right? You need
you're right.
to have legalities in place. Thank you for sharing that example. I can imagine because
Pleasure.
again, I've always been curious as to how you move those commissions works, massive
Ah,
work, how you move them, and
e-
I can imagine.
everybody does their own part.
Okay, well, okay. My next question is still around it, right? But um,
Yeah.
tips and tricks on how do we really export. So we have different people on the call, people that are fashion creative,
Mhm,
that do design, visual artists or crafts,
mhm.
sculptors like you.
Okay.
Um, how do we really export? What does it entail, or how did you unlock that market? So when you
Okay.
unlocked it, what does it entail to
Okay.
be able
So
to move your stuff abroad?
abroad, all over the world. Okay. Well, let me just quickly share the experience I had in my last shipment. Um, the first thing I said was I talked about the use of social media very well. If you don't use your social media very well, you just be a local champion. The world is linked together in your hand. Your phone has a connect to all the markets all over the world. Now, as I
Hmm.
am, I'm fully booked to 2028. And if you book for my work now, you probably queue behind those people that have given me job. How did that happen? Because every day I constantly post my work. And when people out there see, I don't post for Nigerians again. I mean, like, Nigerians have been so used to me that they don't even comment. I don't care. I don't bother whether you like it. I don't care about your
We
like.
like
All I
it.
care about, all I care about is that Chinese man that has not seen my work before.
Hmm.
Now we have over 220 million people in Nigeria, and I have maybe 260,000 followers. And I know that okay, there are millions of people across the globe that are billionaires. Someone said we only have just 9 billionaires in Nigeria. I don't know if that statistic is correct. So, and I want billionaires to afford my work. So I show it online, and people see it across the globe, and they bid for it. They buy it. So when they buy it, I have a logistic team who
Hmm.
handles my no matter how big the work is. My logistic team will ship it. So I have them in Nako, in Lagos. I have them in Port Harcourt. I have them in Turkey, everywhere. All you just need to do is know the weight of what you are shipping, meet them, let them talk about it. They will get the dimension, and the work will leave. You're not going to put it on your head to travel. So how do I unlock that door? Which is the main question. Is that number one, if we put all this point that I've said about, that I've talked about, and you put everything diligently, I mean, diligently, the world will find you, even if you are inside dungeon. A lot of people don't know that I don't stay in Lagos. They thought I live in Lagos. I live in Ile-Ife, Osun State, and I
Wow.
unlock. I enter every door. My passport, you hardly can get a page to stamp again, because every time I have invitations everywhere. Where do they find me? They find me on my Instagram. They find me on my Twitter. They find me on my Facebook. Not even through any gallery, not through any gallery in Nigeria. So when you use the right hashtags, the right people will look for you. For 2 years, I was chatting with Naomi Campbell, and I was like, "Is this the real Naomi Campbell?" But when she finally came to Nigeria, we met. I was like, "Oh my god!" So there are people that are seeing what you are doing on the social media. A lot of people, instead of posting their art, instead of posting their creative works, they'll be posting politics or somebody dancing. Just, I mean, if you are a dancer, post your dance. Or if your product entails you to dance in front of your product, dance in front of your product. Maybe that's what people somebody will see in UK and they want to buy it. So I post my art. You hardly will see me post my house or houses. No, I post my art and I tag the right people that want to see it and they'll buy it. And that's how I unlock that door. Or let's all be a little bit spiritual. Let's say God favored what I was posting. Yeah. I don't know if that will answer the
Yeah.
question. Thank
Yes,
you.
that helped. That helped. Thank you very much for sharing that, as practical as you could, because again, we all know how powerful social media can be. Because again, you have all of the whole world in your hands, basically, as you've sort of described it.
Absolutely.
You can
Absolutely.
share it, you can post it, you can describe it how you want. You are not limited, and so we have to really leverage social media. Yeah, it's good to should be reminded of this. Thank you. I
You're right.
think the last question I have is around costing. So it's a bit operational, right? For this is, I guess, for a sculptor in the room.
Mhm.
How do you sort of, if you're walking through like commissioning a work, right, a new product, right? How do you walk through costing in Nigeria? I know some of the work you do, or some of the um, scrap, some of the things you use as scrap, right, for
Yes.
sustainability and all, right? But how do you
Mhm.
really work out that costing and then test it out sometimes? Again, especially if it's one that you're just building out of inspiration and not one has paid for it yet, right? How do you sort of,
Okay.
so first part of the question is how do you really cost it in Nigeria
Okay.
as a Nigerian artist? And the second part is if it's a new product, right? What sort of, again, is there a way to test the market to know if this will be viable and to have a buyer eventually?
Okay. So costing is a huge topic for artists. Um a lot of artists have been able to build their name, and whatever price they put on their work is what the community or the collectors will buy. Some artists, the collector is still trying to test their whether there's a Yoruba word called abiku. There are some artists that are technically going to be abiku. They will practice today. They're not going to practice tomorrow. Such a person, if a collector invests in your work, they are probably buying a liability, not an asset. So the first thing an artist need to do is to be sure that yes, you want to practice. Then when you are sure, the collectors will know that this guy is going to practice. If I buy his work today for, let's say, 100 million naira, give it 2 years, the work would have improved to become 200 to 300 million. So that kind of person would have consciously put a price or a value to his work that they will buy. Now, let me simplify this. You go to the market to buy materials to create what you do. You must know the price of those materials. You must know how much you pay on electricity bills, all the bills that you pay. Like for me, in a month, sometimes I pay like 2 million, electricity bill. I have about 15 staff that works in my studio, all of them hand salary. So if I'm charging anybody, I factor that at the end of the month, I have a lot of bills to pay. We have a lot of materials that we buy, you know. We have a lot of metal that we'll go and shop. There's a price they sell 1 kg of scraps. So we have to factor all that into it. Then you have your professional charge. See, your professional charge is based on your experience and your years of practice in the market. So they will tell you that art doesn't have fixed price. Yes, it doesn't. But when you see an art, you can actually tell the value it commands. But with time, that value either appreciate or depreciate based on the impulse or impact of the artist. So these are conversations that you grow along. you grow to learn them while practicing. It's not really defined in terms of 1 plus 1. It's a lot of factors put together to define the price of your work. I mean, I would sell my work for maybe 500 million or 1 billion. The same work, someone like I don't know which artist is selling for 1 billion directly to a client. Maybe Kevin Stone, Lopez, or someone else would sell such a piece maybe like for 2 billion because they've been in the market and they've dealt with. I mean, they've had conversations with different huge organizations, and some of the things that also contribute to the value of the artist is that people that collect your work. Who are they? If Donald Trump buy my work, if Obama buy my work, if uh, you know the legends that celebrities buy my work, the value goes up. So all those are factors that culminate into the value or the price that artists put on their work. I don't know if I'm able to hit that right. Thank you.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. I think the second part is around the if you had to put together a new commission, right? Nobody has asked you to do it,
Okay.
right? Is there a way to
Yes.
test the market, or how is it just from inspiration? How do you work
Yeah.
that?
So how do I work that out? If I create a new piece, I look at the size of that piece, and I look at the number of materials, the number of time, the number of hours that I work on it, and that I can use it to peg the price on that piece. So every work of art, definitely, an artist has the liberty to sell it cheap or to make it expensive. Depends. I mean, these are relative. You have the liberty to call anything you want on it. But I'll say this: if you are still an upcoming artist, you are still growing, you need a manager who can position your work to that next phase that you want to get to. You can't determine the price. The manager, the collectors, the people that consumes what you have determines your price when you are still just growing. But when you have grown your 32 teeth, you can tell them this is what I want. I don't care what you think. But as you are still growing, you are calling the price, you will be broke. That's it. Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you so much.
you.
I think that's the last question. Our, our audience have been quite generous, and we're over 1 hour already.
Oh,
Thank you so
wow.
much. We really
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody,
Thank
for
you so
listening to
much.
me.
Yeah.
You can slide into my DM. I always respond.
Yes.
I mean, they can send me some other questions. They can follow me on Instagram. Follow. Everybody can just check what I do, and I'll be glad to respond humbly.
Yes. Yes.
And you can let us make business too. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, yes. We send business Jotu's way. Thank you so much for joining us. And
Thank
just
you.
to
I appreciate it.
just to wrap up, this class is the first of many. And because it's a quarterly series, right, we'll be bringing different experts across the different subsectors in the creative space to come and share with us different topics like this that just help emerging makers, emerging people, whether you're an animator, you're an arts and craft person, um, your fashion, film, different topics that help you, that enlighten you, that just open your eyes to how to position your business better. And so we have in Q1 2026, because this is our last session for the year. This masterclass is our last session for the year. Okay, we have, okay, thank you, Ijiro. We have in Q1 the Makers Takeoff program. And so this program it's similar 4 week boot camp where we will have experts come in, share some of the things that the two have spoken about across. It will be virtual across Africa is our target. So please scan the QR code, fill the form, so that you are able to join the class when it's time. We also have put in the chat box an attendance link. If you feel it, please. It also gives you access, front row seats to this class as well, that we have for 4 week period. We will also be asking those that feel the attendance link for some reviews, right? What you sort of learned from this class. So it helps us with, again, putting together a better curriculum and just ensuring that we're adding value to the ecosystem as well. As I said at the start, RegalStone is an investment advisory firm. We support, we back, we build with creative businesses on the continent. You can follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, we're on YouTube. This class will be uploaded on YouTube. We're on LinkedIn as well. So please stay in touch with us for updates. All of the value that we'll be adding to the ecosystem, and it's really Africa focused. So wherever you are calling in from, Cameroon, Ghana, it's a good opportunity to join the community and learn more. Is there any other thing I'm missing? I know we. Okay, yes. And so, again, just as part of our work, we recently put together with the National Council of Arts and Culture, we put together this, it's called Baselines to Billions Reports. It's a full market intelligence reports, proper research work done around the revenue streams for the music industry. So it's well broken down, the methodology that I went through to put the work together. So please scan the QR code. If you're in the music space, this is a good way for you to understand what happens. If you want to invest in the music space, it's a good way to understand how to figure out the space, how they earn money, whether it's streaming, live events, which one earns the most, right? We figured out through our work that is live. Live performances earns the most compared to streaming, publishing, sync licensing, and the rest. So this is good work that we put together with the National Council of Arts and Culture for Nigeria. And we're happy to share it. So please scan the QR code. The link is also in the comment section um, as well. So thank you so much for joining us this evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are. We really appreciate this. Please stay in touch with us. We'll continue to, again, push out this kind of programs to ensure that we're adding value to the ecosystem. And then, of course, you can please feel free to share with us feedback as well. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dotun. Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you so much. I appreciate. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice time. Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.